All right.
Yes.
Can we start?
Yes.
So, hello, friends. We are here once more. Last week we were together, and for me it was amazing. I'm very happy that you are here, and I'm very happy for those who can open, the window to show your faces because while I'm talking, it's very important I can see a human face so that I can feel the reaction of your emotions. It's very, very important for me. So Elsa, Sheila, Beth, they are, showing their face to me. Thank you so much for that because I can create a connection here and I can feel, your emotions and reactions. I would like to say that I'm in Brazil now, in Fortaleza City, Ceará State, and I have been living here for my entire life. I am 48 years old, and as Elsa told you, I'm a lieutenant colonel firefighter here in Brazil. We are military here when we belong to the government, when we are public employees. And I have been working in many different kind of occurrences, emergencies. I have worked to rescue people in crashed cars after collisions. I have brought fires. I have also worked as a lifeguard. But there is one specific point in my work that brings me here to share experience with you, which is the suicide attempt occurrence. When a person attempts suicide here in Brazil, if this person is using a firearm or a knife, for example, they will call the police. But when a person attempts suicide in Brazil, trying to jump off a building, a bridge, for example, or to set fire on his or her house, for example, they will call the firefighters. So we have to train here to work on the scenario, on real operations, to talk to people who were on the limit, on the threshold of killing him or herself. And in the last century, when I entered, there was a long time ago, when I entered at the military fire department to become a cadet and afterwards an officer, I was intrigued. I was challenged by those kind of occurrences because we were trained by the time to fool a person, to deceive, and after trying to grab this person, to use the law enforcement. And I was taught by a guy, a Lieutenant Colonel Guido Rabelo Nobre, who was by the time a person who was breaking a pattern, the pattern of using the law enforcement to use the listening, to use the dialogue, so that we could persuade, we could, show our compassion, to identify points of hope in this person's life so that we could connect to those people in those emergency situations and try to solve this occurrence without using force. That was amazing. I was thoroughly, fascinated by this new kind of procedure process in those operations. But our friend, Lieutenant Colonel Guido Rabelo Nobre, did not have a scientific basis. He was not a person who was having, advanced studies in the academy. And he was very clear and honest talking about that. He would say, I am using my instinct, my intuitions. So it would be very good from you if any of you could start studying strongly, scientifically knowledge to make our work stronger. And so I'm here a long time after that talk, that class, and I have, given my life to read books about suicidology. So I would like you to understand that suicidology, it's a field of science that not everybody have heard about. Yeah, suicidology is the field of science that studies suicide and suicide prevention. But there is other field of science that is more common. I think maybe you have listened to it. It's thanatology, the study of death. So all of us who are here in this world, By the spiritism philosophy, they would say we are incarnated. Yeah, we are living a physical material experience here, but we have an immortal spirit. Yeah. When we study thanatology, it's really interesting because in all of the cultures, all of the populations in history, we can find that human beings that always had the idea of a superior creator. You know, I am a very blessed person. I think so because I have visited so many countries in the world. I have studied at the Beijing University in China in 2011. I got a scholarship. I was finishing my law major, and I was there, and it was amazing. And all of these Chinese students, because they were Brazilian, there were 100 Brazilian students there, and there were more than 50 Chinese students in the program. All of them did not believe in God. That was a very wonderful experience because I was raised in Brazil. Brazil is very Christian, a very Christian country for the religion. And I was raised as a Catholic boy. But at the age of 13, I had, you know, visited a spiritist center in Brazil. And for the first time in my life, a person would talk to me about reincarnation. That was such an unforgettable experience because 2 years before, I was crossing a road to go to the school, a Catholic school, and I was run over. I was hit by a car and I almost died. And I had a near death experience that was really interesting. I was violently run over. Yeah. And I lost consciousness, but my physical consciousness. And everything went, blurred. And for a moment, I could see and listen to nothing. But afterwards, it was like I was walking, going to my classroom and seeing my classmates and seeing the teacher teaching in that afternoon. And it was really, really interesting because I was just observing. But few minutes after, I was back to my material body. That was something impressive. If you look up in the internet, you're gonna see that so many people in this world who had the heart stopped, for a moment or for minutes, they have experienced the near death, experience and moments, and they could see lights, tunnels, or talk to people who belong to their families, the relatives that passed away. I did not see any relative, but I saw my skull. I saw that there was a spirit who would live beyond the material body. That was very impressive for me. And when you live the experience, nobody told you. You have seen for yourself. I remember the movie Matrix with Keanu Reeves. Now, there is a scene that Keanu Reeves talks to Lawrence Fishburne, the actor. He was Morpheus, the god of the dreams. And he would show him a blue pill and a red pill and would say, if you choose this pill, you go back to the matrix, you live, like you have never been here before, but to have this another pill, you're gonna find the truth. Could you talk to me about the truth? Why don't you tell me about the truth? And he says, the matrix cannot be told, you have to see for yourself. So I have seen it for myself, and I saw that was very real. Yeah. So last time we were talking here, I have highly recommended to you to read the book After by the psychiatrist who was also a person who did not believe in God, and he had accompanied and talked to so many patients who had lived the near-death experience. So I do it again, and I'm here talking to you that I have been to so many times with people who were in the limit of death. And thanks God for those who believe in Him, or her. I don't know if we say God is this creator, not man, not women, but energy, but the spirit, you know. And all the time I have been for more than 50 times working to rescue people in suicide attempts. In all of the cases, we have succeeded. All of them was brought home alive and afterwards brought to the hospital because we have learned after helping a person of rescuing a person from a suicide attempt, we have to take this person to the hospital so that this person can be evaluated and taken care of by mental health professionals mainly. This is very important, you know. Going on. So it's very important because we are here talking about suicide attempts, and I have shared with you an experience that had happened to my life. I did not talk about this in the last, live we had together last week, and I was using slides by that moment, a PowerPoint presentation, but today I said I will not use slides because I would like to share something very personal from my life. I wanted you to feel the emotions, to see my face and to feel the energy. And I used to say, the energy never lies. My mouth can lie, but the energy never lies. We can feel, if you have an autistic person, who has very low level of contact, this autistic person will feel it if it's being treated, him or her, it's being treated well or not, because we feel the energy and the energy never lies. I would like to tell you that in the book after, there are many cases of suicide attempts that people had. It was not my case. I was run over by a car, you know. But there are in the book many cases, case studies of people who attempt to suicide had near death experience and they have quit the idea of suicide because they could understand that suicide is not the right way to solve the problems. It's very important. I was talking about you about suicidology, and the father of suicidology is a North American psychologist named Edwin Schneiderman. He has written so many books. He has treated so many people in suicidal crisis, and he, in one of his books, named it "The Suicidal Mind." I have the edition published in 1996. In the page 133, you can find there a person who is suicidal. His or her most common cognitive state is going to be ambivalence. And what I say, Sigmund Freud, has talked about ambivalence, the oscillation between willing to live and willing to die. And what Edwin Schneiderman is going to teach us, he is going to teach that a person who is suicidal doesn't want to kill himself or herself. Indeed, this person wants to kill the pain, to kill the suffering, trying to get a bearable level. But the situation sometimes become unbearable. Sometimes a person is so desperate. Sometimes a person can see no light, in the end of the tunnel, no exit. And this person can think there is nowhere to run away, there is nowhere to escape, there is no way to bear, those sufferings, those pain, and that's gonna last forever. So there is only one thing to do in my life, to kill myself. When this person creates a plan, you know, chooses a method which is reachable for him or for her, and try to execute this plan to kill him or herself, there is gonna happen, it's gonna turn up the highest, the strongest instinct we have in our life as human beings, because all of the human beings can think, can reason, but we are also have this material body and we are also animals too. The highest instinct in our lives, is survival, the instinct of surviving. So the suicidal plan is gonna meet the survival instinct and they are gonna fight. And when they fight, we have this oscillation, the ambivalence that Freud has taught us, that Edwin Schneiderman that he confirmed with so many patients. So it's very important we understand ambivalence ideation. Why? Because we understand this, we're going to develop more compassion. Because here in Brazil, working with public safety professionals, suicide prevention for them and health promotion for them, we have seen some narratives, some people saying, hey, my friend was smiling in the morning, but in the afternoon he was crying. I think he is manipulating us because he said he was thinking, he was wondering about the suicide possibility. And when you see this, and when you understand ambivalence, you will not judge those people. You will understand that they are ambivalent, that they are oscillating. You know, a person like me who is a military firefighter, and I work with negotiation. I'm also a negotiator. When I go to those places to talk to those people, and after I have understood ambivalence, I would be very patient, very compassionate. I would engage, I would connect, I would not judge, I would not compare, you know. And those strategies, they have succeeded all of the time. But look, we do not have the power over somebody else's life. I know one day maybe I can face someone killing him or herself in front of me. And I'm already prepared to know that I have made all of the efforts, I have done all of the efforts I could have done to save that life. But I have a psychotherapist. Why do you have a psychotherapist? I have a psychologist who works with gestalt therapy. It's a kind of, there are many different kinds of therapies, for mind. And this one specifically talks about the present moment. The past has gone, the future maybe never arrives. The only thing we have for sure now is this present moment. And this present moment, at least in Portuguese, is a synonym for gift, because we are gifted with life and with this moment to be here. I take care of myself, not only my body. I ran, I swim, I work out, I lift. You know, I play table tennis, which is very good for the mind. If you don't know, table tennis, ping pong has the power of reducing Paixão trembling. You know, and we have to take care of this body, but we also have to take care of our minds. And I have a professional taking care of my mind for 5 years. I have been the psychotherapy, and I do not want to stop it, never in my life. Why? Because I looked for the psychotherapy, because was working with suicide prevention all of the time, talking about the death, talking to people in crisis, working in real occurrence. And I said, I have to take care of my mind. So I hired, a psychologist. There are people who can hire, but maybe you can find it paid by the government. We have the United Kingdom, the national health system, for example. In Brazil, we have SUS, you know, it's a unified system for health, very similar, to England, to the United Kingdom. So I strongly recommend. I have looked for it, to take care of my life, but I have discovered that it's not only taking care of the mind, it's self-discover, it's a possibility to meditate sometimes. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. Going back to our suicidology field, I would like to share with you a theory we have written in a book. Unfortunately, it's not written in English; it's only in Portuguese, which studies and brings some outcomes, some conclusions about the work and health, in our lives, mainly for public safety professionals, but can be applied to so many other types of works and jobs. Yeah, this theory, I'm going to talk about this theory for you, because this theory, we baptized this theory, in the book, because the phenomenon already existed. And I think it's very important for our lives and for suicide prevention. Look, there is a movie. entitled named The Sniper, The American Sniper. You know, have you heard about this movie? Maybe he was awarded, I don't know. But what we're gonna see in this movie? There is a shooter in this movie, and he was designated to work in Iraq war. Yeah, else, I would like just a little moment. How many minutes do I have to talk before the questions? It's two
The
thirty.
same,
My watch here.
the same as we did last Sunday. You can talk 45 minutes and open
Fine.
for questions. But remember, we have two questions for the last Sunday that
All
should
right. All
be
right.
answered today, please.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. So I have 15 more minutes, 15 minutes more. Okay. So let me tell you about this film. I think it's very important, to share this with you, because I have seen what happened in the filming. I have seen happening in real life. You know, the sniper became a very successful shooter in Iraq. He has saved so many soldiers and friends and mates during the battles there. But he was an elite shooter, a very special shooter, sniper, yeah. And he had killed so many people in the war. But they were fighting. They were fighting, you know, and he killed them during the battles. He suffered attacks too, but he managed to escape alive. And he was very, very expert in what he was doing. At shooting, he was, almost perfect. And what happened? He started being recognized by his by the others, military guys, soldiers, and so on, and commanders as a hero. They looked up at him. They would say, "Hey, you are amazing. You saved my life. Thank you so much." But what happened to him personally? He felt sad. He was shocked by the visions of people he had killed. He was, impacted by the killing. And I have told you about thanatology, the field of science that studies death, about suicidology, the field of science that investigates about suicide. And there is another field named killology, a field of science that investigates about homicides, about the act of killing. And I've told you that the father of Christology is Edwin Schneiderman, the psychologist. And if I could call someone father of philology, it would be also Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman. He was a psychologist and a person graduated in history. And he teaches at the West Point Academy, the maybe the most famous academy to graduate, officers to the army in the United States. And David Grossman is going to teach us in his book named On Killing. I have read this book. It's an amazing book. He's going to teach us the act of killing is going to impact us. It's going to cause in us, a scar, wounds. We need to treat those wounds, otherwise we can become sick. And what we see in the American Sniper movie, it's based on true fact. He becomes, sick. He has panic syndrome. He got depression. He started listening to voice like he was developed schizophrenia. He also have the a post-traumatic disorder. Yeah. And he came back to the United States completely disturbed. So when I read this in Dave Grossman's book on killing, and I have seen this movie based on true facts, I connected the teaching. Hey, it seems to work to happen to real life. Yeah. There is another movie named 12 Years of Slavery. This one's got the Oscar as the best movie. If I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Yeah. In this book, there was a guy who worked. It wasn't the time there was slavery allowed in the United States, and there was a specific a function in the farm that this person would punish the slaves. And what happens to him? It's also a film based on true facts. This guy started drinking alcohol to bear the cruelty of his work. I'm calling work, related, to the movie, but it's not a work for me. It's a barbarity. Yeah. So cruel. He asked to be dismissed. He suffered a lot for treating badly to punish the slave that he asked, I cannot work here anymore. Please fire me. And the owner of the farm said, okay, you can go. That's your payment for the days you have worked here. He drinks all his money, his payment with alcohol, but he found himself in the position of, now I have to find another work. And he looked for another farm, and there he was also again asked to work in the last function he did to punish the slaves. He said, never ever in my life I wanna, do what the slaves were doing by the time that they were collecting cotton in the cotton farms, in the United States. And he said, so be it. And he started doing that. And after 2 months, a slave comes to him. This is, showed in the movie, and talk to him. You're a white man. You are free. You're strong, but you are here doing the same work an slave person is doing. The difference is we are not paid and you are paid. We can be punished. You cannot. But you're living in the same place, eating the same bad food, and working, from the sunrise to the sunset. I cannot believe in this. I thought you were a spy. I thought you were spying us, but it's not. It's like you were surviving here with us. And he said, here, I'm surviving. And I would like to tell you that I'm here because I have caused to myself those scars and wounds, because I have understand in my life, and I have understood in my life that nobody can hurt anyone else without hurting him or herself. That's the sentence of the film. You know, we cannot hurt another people without hurting ourselves. And what we learn with the Spiritism philosophy, that in life, what we're gonna plant, we're gonna harvest. What we do, we're gonna suffer. There is a cause and effect, a law in the universe. Here, in Brazil, I cannot say the state because of ethical, respects. Yeah. But there was a police woman who was stopped in her car, waiting to the green light so that she could go on to her work. And there was a thief, a robber that came with a firearm in her direction, to the direction of her car. Here in Brazil, unfortunately, we have a violent country, with many murders and assaults and robs, unfortunately. And she knew that when that guy discovered she was a police woman, he would probably to kill her and to steal her firearm too, because he was also armed, with a firearm, a fire gun. And what she did, she defended herself and she shot, the robber before he would shot her. The bullet touched his belly, his abdomen, and he died there. What happened? Her mates called her to congratulate her to have succeeded against a robber. They would work in such, corporation or protective way because they are all of them are policemen, and I understand that they have to get together, they have to get united to protect themselves. But to congratulate a person for having killing another human being, this is not good. This is not good. All of them called her, but to congratulate her, but nobody asked, how are you feeling now? Do you need any help? Nobody asked that for her. What happened to her? Felt depressed, also listening to voices, having nightmares, seeing the face of the robber, the man she had killed. You know, she had also post traumatic disorder. And after 1 year struggling, trying to find the right psychotherapy or the right medicine, for her mental health problems, after having killing a human being, she also attempted suicide. She attempted suicide. She tried to kill herself. And when she shot herself, let alone which part of her body she has chosen. the belly, the belly. So what you understand, action and reaction, psychological action and reaction, self-punishment in that moment, you know. So killing another people, being aggressive, being violent has showed to me who I have been investigating those fields, you know, of suicide, homicides, violence for so many years in my life. You know, at the academy, I had, you know, studied at the mental health, you know, post graduation master degree here. And in all of the books, in all of the real experience I have seen, you know, I have confirmed that what the Spiritism philosophy, what Christianity, what Jesus Christ, what other wonderful human beings like Mahatma Gandhi, they have what they have taught us, that we must not be violent, that we must not kill, that we have to find peaceful solutions, communicative dialogue, diplomacy, negotiation. When Jesus Christ was to be arrested, the apostle Peter got a knife and hurt a soldier, Roman soldier, and Jesus said, "Hey, the kingdom of God will not be established by violence. Keep your knife, because those who kill with a knife, with the sword, will be killed with the sword." Jesus Christ already know about it. Action and reaction, cause and effect. You know, so my message for today is a message that when we are facing suicidal crisis, those many times people permitted themselves to be aggressive, to be violent, you know, to give opportunity that they would be sick. When we understand, you know, about, you know, the brain behavior and also about spirituality, I think we're going to be stronger. But I do not only think, I have read this in the World Health Organization publications, you know, religion and spirituality, they can be protective, but we need to know how to deal with this for sure. You know, when you talk about religions, there are many beliefs in rituals, ways of being connected to the superior creature, name it God as you wish, or Yahweh, the name you want to call, you know, respect all of the ways you want to call God, or the creator of the universe. But when you think of spirituality, a Brazilian thinker and writer named Rubem Alves is going to teach us something that I think is very beautiful. He would say, uh, when you think about spirituality compared to religions, it was like religions would be cages. Anyone trying to get God as a bird, you know, inside of this cage. But when you think of spirituality above religions, it was like spirituality would be the sky where the bird can fly freely. You know, you're not tied. You know, you don't have to obey blindly. You have to think. And the Spiritism philosophy, the codifier Allan Kardec would ask us, hey, we would like you to love yourself like you love your neighbor like you love yourself, you know, but also you need to study, to investigate, to use your reason, because if you have a reason, if you believe in God, who is the creator of the universe, if you have a reason, it was God who made it possible for you. So use it, you know. So it's very important we reflect about what we face in life. Suicide is a very big health problem to the whole world, all of the populations, rich people, poor people, yeah, people who are black, white, people who are homosexuals, heterosexuals. It doesn't depend of sexual orientation or any other kind of a specific trace of culture and physical appearance. But all of us are gonna suffer it. But there are protective factors. And who are the protective factors? You know, when you have spirituality, or when you have a religion that you really believe in it and you feel yourself balanced and healthy with this, that's good. That's protective. You know, if you have a physical activity that's going to bring health to your physical body, it's going to help your mind because it's going to liberate hormones of happiness, of well being, you know. So there is a combo, there are, many factors that they are involved, and there are some of them that they can work for us, some others cannot work for you. We have to find your individuality, but in general there are those specific points that are going to help, like having, health insurance, having psychotherapy, for example, having a family, being a married. Commonly they are protective factors, but look, be aware. I have once read papers, scientific articles, books, and I have learned that being married was protective against suicide. And I went to a bridge. There was a man. He was trying to attempt suicide, dying by suicide. I ask you to avoid saying commit suicide because we commit crime. So dying by suicide or attempt suicide. Okay. Um, I asked him, "What's your name?" He said, João, John, in English. How old are you? 40. Are you married? He said, I don't want to heard about that nasty woman. And I was shocked because, oh my God, I have learned being married was protect, but for this man, when I talked about her wife, he was completely upset, angry. We call it factor inversion, something that can be affected, that can be protective most of times for one person can be negative, can be risk. For this guy, for João, for John, it was risky by that time. So when we are helping people in suicidal crisis, we need to evaluate in that right moment what is risk and what is protective, for that person, to connect and to listen and to communicate in the better way. So I have learned this, seen real cases of suicide attempts. Yeah. And to end my speech here in this day, our dialogue, our talk. Yeah, talk is better. Yeah. I would like to tell you that all of the times I go to a suicide attempt, I pray to God. I pray, I say to the good spirits. When I was Catholic, I would say I would pray to the angels. Now I say I pray to the good spirits, and they are the same. You know, I could have changed the names, but the beings are the same. You can call God of different Mother Nature, you know, but it's gonna be the same, yeah, in a sense. Yeah, and when I go, I ask, God, to the good spirits to help me to inspire my words, my talk, my gestures, because the way our body moves, our non-verbal communication is very, very important in such situation. Yeah, and it has helped me a lot because I relax, I meditate, and I feel more confident, compassionate to those people who are desperate. Remember, suicide is not a cowardly act. It's not a courageous act. It's an act of desperation. People are desperate. You know, Rory O'Connor, he was the president of YASP, the International Association for Suicide Prevention. He teaches it. Not only him and so many other suicidologists, and it's a major, common sense now for the scientists who are working on suicide prevention. An act of desperation, so we can develop more compassion to those people. I end here my words. Thank you so much for the attention. 45 minutes. It's a good time, sometimes short time for me, because I have lived so many experiences and I have the pleasure of it talking about this. People would say, "Hey, could you talk to our in our school or in our business company about suicide prevention?" Yeah, I will go there to talk about this. But always remember, when I talk about suicide, I'm talking about life, not about death. Mm-mm. In itself, the most important point is what I can do in life to avoid suicide, because suicide is not a good thing. for me, for you, for the world. Okay, thank you so much for your attention. And I'm here all year now trying to answer any questions you have for us. Yeah. And talking is the best choice, you know. And when someone looks for you, if you need, seek for help, you know. Elsa,
Yes.
once I was in a just one more thing. Once I was in a Protestant, we would say Protestant church here in Brazil, and there was a woman that would say, "Hey, God is gonna heal me. Hey, but look, God has given a medicine. Psychologists, look for them too." And sometimes I felt that she was kind of proud. I won't seek for help. I can solve everything because I'm strong. I'm powerful. No, we are human beings. We are vulnerable. If you need help, ask for help. And she was resistant. When I said to her, speaking her own tongue, religious tongue, I said, "Hey, Jesus Christ was going to be crucified on a mountain, and he had to carry his cross, and it was heavy. He had been tortured, he suffered a lot, and he has fallen 3 times. And there is a man who offered him help. Tell me, I know you know this story. Jesus accept or not to be helped in the moment he was walking to be crucified?" And she said, "Yes, he accepted the help." So Jesus has given us a very wonderful lesson in that moment. He said, all of us can fall, but the most important is not falling, but standing up again. And all of us need to accept the help when we have the need for it. Be humble and accept the help. Okay. Good, Elsa. It's with
Yes,
you now.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Edir. But it's still in my mind, adding what you said beautifully today, is the 2 or 3 questions that we have the last Sunday. And also here, Sila has two questions that would be nice as well if you can answer. And you said last week something that perhaps is good to reinforce today, that was when you are talking with someone on the phone or in person, someone with attempted to suicide or was talking with you regarding his life is nothing, and you use a very nice technique that you say some words, just one word. Can you tell for our people here?
Sure, sure. Yeah. So, friends, last time we talked about active listening, active listening, and I have learned this with a guy, some guys in Brazil, they work with this, but, in the United States, they have wonderful negotiators. We have to praise them because of the wonderful work they do. Yeah. And I have learned with Meckmans and Mullins, in the book The Crisis Negotiations. And I have also learned with Frederick Lansley in his book, and I have learned with Jefferson Thompson, who is a PhD psychologist. He is, if I'm not wrong, he's professor of Yale University in the United States, and he is a police negotiator, New York State. Yeah. And he's also collaborator of the American Association for Suicide Prevention, the America one. And I have learned a wonderful paper from him teaching us. Those guys has also learned with them about active listening. But the way Jefferson Thompson taught us, I think, was very clear in the article. And he would say, prime SOS, prime SOS. P, paraphrasing. What is paraphrase? When I'm talking to a person, I have to. It's very important. The person talks so that the speech, the dialogue, it's gonna alleviate, it's gonna mitigate, things. The person I have talked, So talking is healing. It's very important. So first lesson, it's listening is much, it's the most important thing in the scenario. But sometimes I can say some words and act with some strategies that can help. So paraphrasing, if I'm gonna if I'm gonna say something, I would not talk about my life. Once a person was trying to help other, and this person did not succeed at entering the university. and the person who was supposed to help would say, hey, when I was young, I lived in very poor areas, I was starved, and I survived. Look, if this person was capable of surviving, congratulations to him or her. It's okay. But that person, that moment, what is important in that moment is the person who is sort of the victim, not the person who is supposed to help. So do not compare, do not judge. So paraphrase is important. Why? Because you listen. When we speak about this victim's history, paraphrasing, you know or reflecting. This reflecting, you know for example, I'm a little bit tall, yeah, and I have got to so many suicide attempts. People were sitting on the bridge, and I would come with my military uniform, tall guy, talking to a person who was feeling totally devastated, sitting down. And look, it's very important. I have told you, the non-verbal communication is very important in this moment. What is reflecting? When I will listen to this person, instead of being standing up, and showing myself superior to this person, I will equalize my vision, my eyes with that victim. I will kneel down or I will sit. I will equalize our look so that this person feel he is the same as I am. He's just a human being. He is not superior. So if you are talking to someone at your house, for example, a son, a child, maybe, mainly with children, it's very good when you equalize, when you have the same level of looking. This is named mirroring. But it's another kind of mirroring words. When we mirror, when we reflect words, we really repeat the words, to show that you are attentive, that you are listening. Chris Foss was an FBI, Federal Bureau Investigation agent, and he teaches us about, mirroring the words. He would say, when I'm talking to someone, and this person can talk 5, 15, 30 minutes talking, and you're there. And in one moment, this person would say, and I have told you the whole history. And after, I have lost, but after I have lost my job, everything went wrong in my life. Look, and the person gives you space, moments of silence. You can reflect the words, saying, life. When you say the word life, this person is going to be sure that you are really listening. You cannot say, hey, I'm listening to you. When you say life, wow, if I was capable of repeating life, it's because I was really listening to you. That's the reason why the name is active listening, because I listen not like a statue. I need to have some actions to prove to you that listening truly, and the person feel more comfortable to go on talking, because the more the person talks, you know, he's gonna feel more alleviated. And Jefferson Thompson is gonna teach us when a person can threaten suicide. Also, a person can say, "Hey, I will kill someone after I'm gonna kill myself. I will jump off this bridge. I will cut myself." But I'm talking to you. While people are talking, they are not accomplishing the threats they have, said they would accomplish. So it's very you connecting those people, yeah. So paraphrasing, reflecting the core, the body, the body language, reflecting, repeating one, two, or three words when a person gives you the chance, to repeat it, to say it, to show that you're really listening. There is the I message, prime I message. What is I message? Many times people would say, "Nobody cares about me," crying, desperate, you know me as a firefighter would say, hey, I care about you, because I really care about them. Many of them I had never seen in my life. It was the first time I would see them. And once one of those visitors asked me, how do you care about me if you don't even know me? You have just seen me here now. And I told him, I care about you because you are a human being. I have promised as a firefighter to risk my life to save another human beings. That's the reason why I care about you. I see you as a brother of mine by the simple fact you're a human being. Friends, this is so powerful when you say it truly. If you do not believe in this, if this person is not important for you, if you don't care about them, don't use iMessage because it's gonna be worthless. It only works when it has the true energy to impact people positively. iMessage can be so powerful. I care when I say I care about you. I listen to you. I see you. Yeah. And when I use it's not the word of people. No, it's you and me. Our rapport, our connection is gonna grow stronger. Yeah. Minimum encouragements. What is minimum encouragements? I have asked you politely, some of you to open your window so that I could see your faces, to see your eyes, the emotions, and in many times you would, nod, you would wave the head, you would open your eyes, you would go forward with your body, all of these times were minimum encouragements to me. This is minimum encouragement because I'm talking here. I know I have a time. I know I talk a lot. I know I speak a lot, but you're saying to me, "Hey, dear, it's interesting. My eyes are showing that. My body, my head, I'm showing without a word, but my body is talking to you. I'm interested in what you're talking." I think it's important. This is minimum encouragement. When we're talking to people, we need to show those small signs so that the person feel comfortable to go on, talking. Edir, if I'm talking to the person on the phone, how can I how can I have minimum encouragements? Of course, the person is not seeing you. It's only, voice call. And you have to say small signs. The person says, mm, okay, okay, go on, go on. Those signs are minimum encouragement. And they are very important because when you are talking on the phone, if you do not use the minimum encouragements, there will be a time the person will ask you, "Hey, are you there? Are you still there? Haven't you noticed this?" We need minimum encouragements, and they are very powerful too in this active listening. Emotional labeling. What is emotional labeling? Emotions, they I highly recommend the book Nonverbal Communication of David Matsumoto. Yeah, that's my favorite. That's the amazing work. David Matsumoto is also American, but he's descending from Japanese family, and he has worked for more than 30 years of his life studying emotions. Yeah, and he's gonna teach us that an emotion is a transient reaction to some situations that require from us immediate behavior. Yeah. For example, you're driving your car and you see a truck, a lorry come in the wrong direction to collide to your car. You're gonna feel an emotion when you see that. Mainly two types of emotions. One of them is named with S. Start with S. Surprise. And other start with F. Fear. We're gonna have a surprise, and you're gonna fear that. You're gonna be afraid of being killed in that collision. And what do you do? Sometimes, on the moment of a blink, of a wink, you're gonna put your car, get in the steering wheel, and avoid the collision, or you're gonna put your feet in the breakers, you know, to stop your car, not to collide. So emotions show themselves as useful, as good. I could say to you, anger is not a good emotion. Hey, you, take care. Because of anger, because of fear, we are here now talking to each other, to one another. Because when you feel anger, you can fight. When you feel fear, you can escape, you can
Anger
flee,
is
you
a
can
good emotion
run.
as long as you know how to deal with it. What you
Okay.
do with it, that is the problem, not having the anger.
What we do with it, exactly, Fabricio. What we do with the emotion. And one important thing David Matsumoto teaches us, we do not control the emotion. The emotion comes. It's instinctive. You know, we need to learn what we do after the emotion. You know, that's the most important thing. And Viktor Frankl in the book A Man's Search for the Meaning is going to tell us that the ultimately freedom of a person is choosing what's going to do, you know, what life has done to us, you know, to this person. Yeah. Jean-Paul Sartre is also going to teach us about this. The most important thing is not what life has done to us, but we're going to do after the line has done some things to us. Yeah. So David Matthew, emotional labeling. It's important. We know what is an emotion, scientifically talking. And this book, I think there's only one edition. The one I have was published in 2013, you know, and in the page 17, you're gonna find emotions, definitions, conceptions. It's very important. So emotional labeling, knowing what is an emotion, knowing that emotions are good for our lives, you know, and name it, recognize it. I'm talking to there are many different there are people from different countries here, and they were showing me emotions during our talk. And look, when I see they were happy or surprised, they the emotion expressed in the face, they are universal. It doesn't matter you're German, you're Italian, you're French, you're from Papua Nova Guinea, from Japan. The emotions expressed in the face, they are universal. Paul Ekman is going to teach us. Ekman went to an island without there was no internet, there was no cameras to photograph, there was no television, and Paul Ekman brought pictures of different emotions expressed in the faces of American people, and the guys there, you know, in native tribes, they could recognize the correct emotion, you know. So it was proved, you know, it's universal. Yeah, David Matsumoto used other strategy to prove it, but I won't tell you. I will allow you to search this, you know, to 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 make you curious to study more. Yeah. So emotional labeling, primate paraphrasing, reflecting, or mirroring. I mentioned emotional, minimal encouragements, emotional labeling, or silence. There are two types of silence on a person who is suicidal. Two types of silence. One silence is good, the other one is bad. And I'm going to tell you why. I was talking once to a person, and this person stopped talking. This person was with a piece of glass. It was a woman. She had a broken window, and he got a piece of the glass, you know, and used it like a knife, you know, cutting object. And she was not cutting herself, but she became so upset, so sad, you know, and she was silent. She was not answering anymore, not talking anymore. Hey, talking to me, calling her by her name, talking to me, look at me, you know, and she was silent, and she was putting the piece of glass near to her neck. Yeah. This silence is not good. What did I do in this day? I ordered, we working firefighters and policemen, and we have tasers. Do you understand tasers? Electric weapons. You know, they are less lethal. They're but less lethal weapons, you know. And he was shocked in that moment. And we could take this piece of lead from her hands, and he was, you know, taken to the hospital. But it got to a unlimited situation. It got to a moment that we needed to use the law enforcement, you know, because otherwise she could have killed, cut, you know, her neck, and it could be fatal, lethal. Yeah. So we needed to use, you know, force in this day. We do not want to do this. Most of cases we manage to solve a listening dialogue, but there are some cases, you know, that we need to use law enforcement. Yeah. So this silence can be good when you're talking to someone and this person starts showing with his body language that this person's cooling down, is, you know, the tension's going down, the person's becoming alleviating, you know, and sometimes this person stops talking, and you can see in her face the person is very reflexive, is thinking, It was like something was being, turned, a point of inflection, maybe I can say in English, And after those kind of signings, they come to talk, in a more calm way, more relaxed, and we can see probably that this occurrence is gonna end peacefully. The person going out carried by the hand. That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Uh, Open-ended questions are the strategy. We can ask closed-ended questions. We don't know the person. To How do you want to be called? How old are you? Do you live near here? Do you have a job? To try to discover something about this person's lives, because when you go to bridges, to houses, to work on suicide attempts, we don't know the people there. Yeah, when a person wants to talk, we listen. It's good, but sometimes the people feel depressed, they feel sad, and sometimes they don't want to talk too much. We can ask closed-ended questions. Why closed-ended questions? Because when I say, "What's your name?" it's very easy to answer. How old are you? It's an easy answer. Do you have a job? Yes or no? It's easy answer. When we discover what are the protective factors, when we discover what is maybe a meaning of life for a person, we can ask open-ended questions. Once we were talking to a man who was trying to attempt suicide. He had many problems, but he, in the middle of his speech, in the middle of his talk, he said, "I haven't killed myself yet because I have nobody to take care of my dog." That was so surprising, so surprising. When he said that, I said, "Hey, what's your dog's name?" And he said, "Mike." "What's the race of your dog?" And he said, "Golden Retriever." Do you call it in English, Golden Retriever? Do you recognize this dog? It's like a teddy bear, huge, wonderful, amazing. I'm in love with those kind of dog. When he said that, my eyes, were shining. And I said, "Hey, I'm in love with this type of dog." Two closed-ended questions. What the name of the dog? What your dog's race? The third question, what do you usually do with Mikey? And I was referring Mikey now to get things closer, more connection, more connection. What do you usually do with Mike when you arrived from your job? And he started talking about Mike, the walks, the plays, yeah. And he was, feeling better, better, and developing the idea. He was connecting to the suffering. But when he showed us the key, oh, the Mikey, the dog, and I was feeling the real and strong love he had, to his dog, to Mike. Uh, there are people here in Brazil, I don't know in Europe, but here in Brazil, there are people that they do not care about dogs, pets, and so on. There are some that are in love, totally in love. Oh, there are some guys that do not think, the pet can be so strong in a person's life, but can be. You can love a pet more than you love your relatives. Look at what I'm saying. I'm saying by the experience I have seen, you can love your pets more than you love some human beings. Yeah. And knowing that, you know, I started talking, listening, interacting. And I said, "Hey, you have proved to me that maybe you could have found, but you haven't. But if you find a person to take care of your dog, nobody will take care of Mikey like you do, because you really love your Mike. I have seen Mikey is like a son to you, and Mike needs you. It's better you getting with us and be back to Mikey, because Mikey is your family too." This person went out of the bridge, peacefully, without law enforcement. Yeah. And so are some of the strategies of active listening, Elsa. I
You're
wanted to share with
wonderful.
you, friends. Sorry for taking too long, but because
No, no, no,
there's
no,
no
no.
other way
Please,
to make
please.
it shorter. Yeah, sorry for that, but that's it.
But it's important because you see, all the questions that you answer here will be for in the YouTube channel later on, to others that are not able to stay here today, and they are you want to listen to your answer. And these two questions here that I will do now, before Karen try to remember the two questions from Graziella and Fabrizio last Sunday. Silas wrote, do you believe that someone can attempt to or commit suicide due to be suffering spiritual obsession alone? Or it should be accompanied of other reasons besides the influence of an obsessor? The question is in the chat.
Let's go. Let's go to the first part. Could you repeat just the first part and I answer? And after
Sila, would you like to say in your
the first question? The first question.
Yeah, I just want to know if a person could get to the point to commit suicide just by being influenced by an obsessor, a spiritual obsessor.
Let's go. This question is a very open question, open-ended question. Yeah. And what we see, what's in real life, yeah? People, they can get to the extreme, of human behavior to try to attempt suicide. Sometimes they are, sometimes they are under some circumstances like a mental disease, a mental disorder. And what I have concluded of our investigations, some of those people in suicidal crisis, yeah, if they are suffering a mental disease, they can kill him or herself without knowing they are doing that. Look, I will get to the spiritual part, okay? I'm doing this with the material part. I have seen that a person can kill him or herself without knowing what he's doing, yeah, without consciousness. If this person does it, this person can kill him or herself, and by the World Health Organization, this is not be considered a suicide. Look, very interesting. Because a person can, for example, jump off. It happened here in a hospital in our city, Fortaleza. I was called to talk to a patient in the mental health hospital, and because the people in the hospital knew me, and this guy had jumped off the two-story window, and everybody was saying that he attempted suicide. When I discovered his history, he said, "Hey, I was seeing monsters, and those monsters were talking to me. I want to kill you." And they were running after me. When they started running after me, I got desperate and I jumped the window to escape from being killed by those monsters. Nobody else saw the monsters. He was a guy. This patient was medium. I don't know. This guy was just suffering schizophrenia, for example. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But one thing I'm sure of, he did not try to die by suicide. He was trying to escape. There are some people they are on buildings on fire. If they stay there, it's 100% sure they're gonna die. If they jump the windows, they have a chance to survive. What option they will take? You understand me? If they jump trying to save themselves, they can't die. But they are not dying by suicide. Because the World Health Organization in the publication, published in 2014, named Preventing Suicide, a Global Imperative, page 12. It's gonna establish very clear. We only have suicide when there is consciousness and will. The person wants to die in that way. If there is not, the consciousness, there is no suicide. Let's gonna go now to the spirit influence. If you accept there is a spiritual influence that takes over the body of a person, and there's a spirits jumps from on the window or gets a gun and shoots the person in the head and kill this person, that would not be a suicide. Edir, is it possible? I think it is, Claire, that we can have some kinds of influence, but if it's not a person willing, to die by the way, it will not be suicide. How will I know? How will I discover? There is a method named autopsy investigation. There are different kind of investigation, but it's very hard. It's very hard to discover all of the cases. Probably this person would be classified in the hospital, in the forensic, as a suicidal person. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to ask. Very good question, and it requires from us reading, in going deeper in suicidology. Yeah, good.
Edir,
What's the
there's
second question?
two questions here for the last week that will be good as well. One of the last week's question referred to the conversation with someone who does not want to talk, especially young people. How can we reach them if we are worried about them?
Look, this question, it can happen to us. It has already happened to me, and it was a policewoman too. Yeah, I tried to go. A person said to me, "Edir, there are military policemen and civil police, here in Brazil." It was a civil police woman, and she was saying that she would kill herself, and they asked for my help, and I could not. I was out of the town, and I sent her a message. She did not take it, and I called her, and she answered, my call. But when I started calling, she was thoroughly angry. She was furious, and she said, "Yeah, there was some relatives. They are also they are always trying to pressurize me, and so on. I don't want to talk to you." Then hang out. She did not talk to me. I tried once more. She did not answer anymore. I sent other message. She did not answer the message. And what I would do, how could I reach? I tried to reach. So it's different because it's not from my family. It's from the family. You have other ways trying to reach. Yeah. In this specific occurrence, I had no other thing to do but praying for this person. As I believe in the power of God, the power of praying, the prayer, I prayed for that person. And as I have already told you, I have no power over somebody else's life. This woman did not kill herself. Thanks God and all of the people who had helped. Yeah. But I was, with hands tied, in that moment. What could I do? But praying for her, and I prayed with faith. Yeah. And I prayed. If it's your relative, it is a classmate, a people in the university that doesn't want to talk, that doesn't want to open for that, it's very important to respect people. Do not force them. Do not pressurize them. If they don't want to talk about suicide prevention, about their personal problem, do not force them. But there was one wonderful thing you can do to them. You can connect to the person without talking a word about suicide. You can invite this person to go to the movie theater, to go to the gym, to have a walk, to eat something in a restaurant. Try to connect to this person. Try to be close to this person. And sometimes it won't be necessary to talk about suicide itself. Look what happened to me once. I was here, I was on duty at a fire station. There was a mechanical engineer in a different state. He called me and said, "Edir, I have a friend. She's the woman. She is married. She has three children, three daughters, and she has just attempted suicide. She was taken to this hospital." And he sent the address of the hospital and said, "Edir, I'm desperate, and because I like this friend so much." And when I saw it was a suicide attempt, I said, "There is only one person that can help me now. It's you, Edir. because I'm seeing your Instagram. I know you had studied suicide for a long time. Please help me. Help this person. I want you to go to the hospital and talk to her. And you tell her it's Carlos Eduardo who is saying that she attempted suicide and that I have asked you to go there and to help her. And I said, Carlos, okay, I'm on duty. I have a driver here. I have a car. I will go there now. I was as a supervisor in this day. Because here we have the firefighters go to provide the fires. When you go, growing up in your career, you become a supervisor. I am a supervisor now when I work, And I went to the hospital. I I know all of the people in the hospitals in our town because I have been to all of them to teach about suicide prevention. Yeah. When I arrived, hey, yeah, you're here. Come on over. Oh, I'm looking for someone named. Oh, she's here. I went there. I sit beside her bed. She was Gary, I forgot the name in English. A medicine, in the vein. Yeah, she had already, had the clean, of the stomach. And I was there and I waited silently. When she woke up, she looked at the side. I was dressing. Our firefighter was very recognized here. So it's very trustful. Oh, what are you doing here? I'm a firefighter. And what you're doing here? I work sometimes helping people in the hospitals too. Could I talk to you a little bit? I said, yes. And we started talking. I coincidentally have 3 children. It's not 3 daughters. It's 2 daughters and 1 daughter. No, 2 daughters and 1 boy and 1 son. I said, hey, are you? Yeah. Do you have children? Yeah, I have 3 daughters. Oh, I have 3 daughters. When I say three, married, three children, this is also mirroring. Yeah, interesting. This. I'm not comparing, but I'm connecting. Yeah, and we started talking. We discovered we started at the same school when we were teenagers, but we haven't crossed, rubbed shoulders. Yeah, interesting. And we started, her husband was a musician. My brother is a musician. Connection, talking. We exchanged WhatsApps. When we are trying to engage to people who are in crisis, we need to send a message to call this person at least once in the day, every day. After the crisis is gonna be, mitigated, alleviated, and the person you can, 2 days, 3 days, you go disconnecting. Yeah, it was wonderful because she did not say she was there because she attempted suicide. She did not enter. She didn't mention anything of problems in her life. That was incredible. And we were just connecting, talking about good things of life, family, music, books. Look, she overcame the suicidal crisis. She started. I was following her in the Instagram, in Facebook. She started posting again, smiling with the family. Yeah, and we were trying to make our connections lighter. And in the Happy New Year, of that year, it was like 8 months later, her suicide attempt. She wrote me a letter, which was one of the most beautiful letters I have ever received, I have ever got in my whole life, telling me, Edir, I know you know, but you never judged me. You listened to me carefully, humanistically. Thank you so much, because I'm seeing this Happy New Year because you were there for me. Thank you so much. That is so powerful. That is so powerful.
Wonderful, really. And another question here. Oh, you touch my heart now. A question here referred to our, as a Spiritistas in our Spiritist Center, our role in a Spiritist group, in a fraternal conversation, fraternal dialogue. How can we help someone who turns for help because of suicidal thoughts? Person that was passing by, or someone said, go to Spiritist Center, and the person decided to go. He said, "Oh, I don't like my life. I want to commit suicide. I want to do this and that against my life." How we can? You still said a lot of things here now, but inside the Spirit Center.
So you have spoken. I was still recovering of my emotions now. Okay. Please, Elder, could you repeat your question? You speak a little bit slowly,
Yeah.
so that I can understand.
Yeah. A question referred to our.
Is it written? Is it written? Is it?
Yes, it's here in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
think you can read.
Go. Read it for me, please,
Okay.
slowly.
Karen wrote another question referred to our role in a spirit center, our action in a spirit center,
Okay.
in a fraternal conversation. How can we help someone who turns for help or come for help because of suicidal thoughts?
Okay. Good. We have, talked about many strategies that we can do to this person. The first thing, use nonviolent communication, use active listening. And today I did not talk to you about the four bases of nonviolent communication. Yeah. And I would like to make sure to emphasize what you can do. First thing, do observe without judgment. Look, this judgment, of course, you're going to do the scene, the scenario. You're going to see if this person is armed, maybe with a knife, with a firearm. I don't know. If this person have medicine trying to get pills, to kill her herself. We have to evaluate the scenario, but not judging the person like, hey, this person is so young. Hey, this person is so beautiful. Sometimes people say, you're so beautiful. Why do you want to kill yourself? Please do not do that. Please do not do that. You're so young. You're rich. No, please do not do that. This is judgmental. Yeah, it's very important to emphasize this. So, for a nonviolent communication, first thing is observing without judgment. Second thing, identifying needs, identifying necessities. This is very important. Why? Because we can identify the necessities, we can direct our talk to put the energy in the solutions. Because the people, when a people is suicidal, many times the person is confused. The person can't see an exit. There are people, for example, there was a person who was suicidal because it was a man, it was a poor person, financially, economically talking. He had lost, the guard of his two children, and he was in love with the boys. And he was desperate, and he said, there is no reason for leaving now. And he said, I have no money to hire a lawyer, an attorney, to help me so that the judge can see it again. Yeah. And we said to him, coincidentally, at the fire station we worked, beside, next to it, there was a public defense institution. Here in Brazil, we have some lawyers. They work to the government, and her job is helping poor people who do not have money to use justice here in Brazil. So he said, hey, we know the responsible person for this place. You need no money to have the service. Trying to see if you could at least see your children one day a week. Yeah. So when this person knew that, the man, he started having hope. Her face changed, and he was agreeing to go with us to see. But once you promise, you have to accomplish it. So we accomplished our promise, and he had, free justice, here in Brazil. I don't know the ending or the result, but just the possibility to rescind this, to try again, took him out of the suicidal crisis in that moment. So observing without judgment, identifying necessities. We redirect the energy of the person without seeking death, but seeking, the free possibility of a lawyer. 13, working with emotions. We had already talked about this in the active listening. And the fourth basis, asking. Asking is something really important in nonviolent communication. I want you to see this possibility. I want you to go with me to this place to talk to the lawyer of the government. Asking is something very important. And when we ask, we ask for the good, for the well-being of all of the people involved, in the situation. So use active listening, use nonviolent communication. Of course, you're there in the Spirit Center, ask for help of the spirituality, and also recommend this person can be attended by mental health professionals. It's very important. Yeah, very, very important. Okay. I know the time is almost
Yes.
off. Is there anyone any more question, or have we stopped here?
You
I
answered
think
my question now in the end. Sorry.
yes. No, Sila wrote a question, but you answered the question before, Sila, right?
All right.
Saying that
All right, all right.
you encourage people to search for professional psychotherapist, etc. And, of course, receiving healing, passes, Spirit Center, is engaging in a study that will be good for the person to understand about the value in life, etc. Is the point. Edir, I have no words to say thank you to you for your kindness to be with us. I know your agenda is very, very, very busy, and we are glad to have you at least for 1 hour and a half, more than an hour and a half. And thank you so much. And I will stop the recording now and do our final prayer. Okay? And so don't.
Thank you so much. I thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
this moment. It was very special. It was very good, and I felt the power of the spirituality here with us, helping us, mainly with my poor English, because I'm not a native speaker. Sometimes it's hard to think, the histories I'm used to say in Portuguese, to say this in English, but I'm very, very happy here to see your face, to be with you, and if you need to make contact, ask more questions, to get some books, in PDF. I don't have many of them in English, but most of them in Portuguese, but it's Spanish, French, maybe. I'm here, can pass my contact, Elsa. Okay.
Oh, well,
Thank you
of
so much.
course I will. And thank you once again. Thank you for the people that was 13 people here with us. And it's good because they can spread the word and later on can watch again if they want. I will stop the recording now. Thank you all.